Well, good evening. See that right there? That's what it looks like when your winch fails in the middle of a job. So I get a lot of questions and crap about using these Harbor Freight Badlands winches on my off-road recovery rigs and on my tow trucks. But here's the thing. I've never had a Harbor Freight winch fail me at all, ever. The only slight issue I kind of had with one was when the keeper bolt that holds the end of the eyelet on the synthetic rope came off on my wife's Jeep in the middle of recovery, and I had to put it back on because it let the rope unwind all the way. And I'm the one who installed that and didn't Loctite it, so it's my fault, not Harbor Freight's. Aside from that, never an issue, ever. And I use Harbor Freight winches on everything, as you see. Even my red tow truck, the main winch on the back of that tow truck that got used day in and day out for tow truck stuff was a Harbor Freight Badlands 12,000 pound winch. And never once did it ever give me a single issue. This, on the other hand, is a Warren Power Plant 9,000 pound winch. It's the air compressor winch combo setup, supposed to be a very high-end, top-of-the-line unit. And on the recovery I was just on, this winch pulled in about 5 feet of line and crapped out on me. You guys won't see that one because they didn't want to film. So, battery, 14 volts. Charging system, plenty good. Winch on the back, 10 years old, still works just fine. So what I had to do is come back here, flip my Jeep around, and use this Quadratec 9,000 pound winch I have on the back. This particular winch is one of the very first ones that Quadratec came out with when they first came out with their own brand of winch. I pre-ordered it, was on the waiting list. This is one of the very first ones to come off the line. That means it is about 9-ish years old. And guess what? Never an issue, not one. I've had this on 4 different Jeeps. It's been on my Dodge pickup. It has worked and worked and worked for almost a decade. Never even so much as a hiccup. In fact, now that I think about it, I've had multiple winch failures over the years. I've spent my whole life off-roading. My very first vehicle was a 78 CJ5 that I got when I was 16, actually like 14, but started driving when I was 16. I spent my whole life off-roading. I have had winches fail, and every single one of them was a Warren winch. So all of this was just wrapped, wound and wound and wound around the bumper so that I could flip around and use that 10-year-old off-brand rear winch to finish the job that the Warren started. And that is enough for me, so Warren is coming off and a Harbor Freight winch is going on. And no, Harbor Freight has never paid me a dime to say good things about their winches. They've never given me a thing for free. They don't know I exist. But Harbor Freight, if you happen to be watching this and want to do something, let me know. When it comes to off-roading, I basically break all the rules. Rule number 1, never go wheeling alone. What do I do when I'm going out to do these recoveries? I go out alone. It's just me and my one rig 90% of the time going deep out into the woods to try to find someone who's also stranded. So even if I get in trouble but find them, they can't help me because they're stranded wanting me to come help them. I need something reliable. Warren isn't it. So to solve this problem, we're cutting this winch off of here. Well, we're going to unbolt it, but we're cutting zip ties. So kind of cutting this winch off of here. Going to get rid of this one. I don't at the moment have another Harbor Freight winch to bolt onto that winch plate, but I'm also not a fan of bolted on winches. So what I'm going to do is hack off this front plate here, and then I'm going to build a receiver mount on the front of this winch, put a quick connect Anderson plug on here so that I can put receiver mount winches in and out of the front. Then if I'm on a job and I have an issue with any winch, I could swap winches front to rear. I could grab the one off my pickup, throw in here, cut a synthetic rope, I mash a cable on a tree, something like that. I can just switch winches real quick and be right back to work. Because as I said, reliability and redundancy is key for me. I'm going out by myself into who knows where in really bad conditions to go get people who are not prepared for the conditions they're in, usually don't have enough supplies to get through the night. A failure like that could turn out very bad for me and the people I'm going to get. Now all that being said, let's get this off of here. Hey, you're not supposed to do that. We're going to cut all this off anyway. Why not just take the winch off the easy way? Alright, now if that's cut off, we gotta figure out how to build something to make a new one go on. Alright, so that's what our welds look like with the slag still on them. We'll knock it off and see how we really did. Grab a slag hammer, one of like the 3 things in my shop I actually have somewhat organized. Working on that. Do a little tappy over here too. Oh, that's a good one. Now what we got here? Oh yeah, that's the good stuff. No wormholes, no undercut. Good enough. Okay, now we give it a little spray with some 30-degree paint that's never going to stick, but it's what we got, so it's what we're using. See, if you don't let the metal cool down before you paint it, the metal heats the paint up, and you're golden. And yes, I am leaving that little 3/8 gap there on purpose, because it's open on the other end, because I don't have time or ambition to cap it, so that way I can just flush this out with water when mud and debris and all that inevitably gets packed up in there. So if you're wondering how cold it is in the shop right now, well, door's open for 1, but for 2, I stole these little Hershey Kisses out of Riley's candy box in the house. I would have something to eat down here. And they were room temperature warm, nice, first few of them. The other ones I just had sitting here on the hood of the Jeep, and now they're rock hard. Got to put them in my pocket to heat them up, that way I can eat them. Just like that, we have a quick connect plug with a battery leads on the other side. We're going to put on the battery there. That plug is going to mount down there, and then it's going to plug into this one that's on the winch. And if you're wondering where I scrounged up these battery cables so quick, I chopped them off that Warren winch because that thing is dead to me. Oh, would you look at that? A winch that works. How convenient. So, now I have the Harbor Freight Badlands winch on the front of this Jeep. I have my Quadratec Q9000 winch on the back of this Jeep. The only issue with that is now this one is synthetic, the one on the back is steel cable, which means I have to carry 2 types of recovery gear, which is less than ideal, but having a winch die on you in the middle of a recovery job is even less ideal, so I'll deal with that for now until I can get on Yankum Ropes' website and order another synthetic line for that rear winch, and some more soft shackles and synthetic gear, and then set this one up all synthetic too, which is kind of what I wanted to do anyway, so now I just guess I have an even better excuse to do it. And then for an even bigger bonus, now I can remove this winch, the rear winch, switch them, put one in the other, trade them out with any other winches. I really like the winches to be modular and quick connect on all my vehicles. Like I said, I've never had a failure with a Harbor Freight winch, but in the types of conditions I get into and the situations I get into, I need that redundancy in case something goes wrong. I have a backup plan. But aside from all that, I think we are done with this project, which now means I have an even bigger mess in the shop than I started with when I came in here. I actually had a really big mess in here from the last project I did, which was the rear winch setup on my truck, which worked great. Harbor Freight winch also. So I actually came down here to clean that up and kind of have a fresh start for the next project. And then I was looking at the Jeep, I'm like, you know, now that that winch is all screwed up is when the phone is going to ring for recovery with that Jeep. So I just need to get on that right now and get it done. So it is done. Now I have an even bigger mess to clean up. So I'm probably not going to do that right now. It's late, it's cold, it's like 20 something degrees. I'm gonna go in the house, warm up, get some dinner, and relax for the night. So that's gonna be it for this video. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next time.